So you know how some theaters like to show clips from other actors' previous movies to build up to this one? So for Legend of Tarzan, they picked Christoph Waltz. And did you know that he could sing? I didn't.
Ich bin das neue Jahr und ich bleibe jetzt bei dir. Ich bin das neue Jahr, bin jünger als das alte war. Wie viel? Das ist jetzt die Frage. 365 Tage.
Boy, it's a good thing Tarantino gave him a career. Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that The Legend of Tarzan is no perfect movie. So in The Legend of Tarzan, Tarzan himself is played by Alexander Skarsgård, and he has been living in London for years as John Clayton and has left life in the jungle completely behind. But when he's invited back to Africa and his wife Jane, played by Margot Robbie, is kidnapped, Tarzan has to slowly become his animalistic Lord of the Apes self again in order to rescue Jane from the evil Captain Rum, played by Christoph Waltz. Now, the most fascinating part of the film, for sure, is Tarzan's backstory. When we do see what it is like for him to be raised by gorillas, they easily express without dialogue how Tarzan is shunned by the other members of the gorilla pack as an outsider. He's not allowed to eat with them or swing with them, but he still perseveres due to the fact that his mother figure shows him her love and her motivation, and he earns their respect when he does finally defend them from human hunters. And Alexander Skarsgård, in my opinion, does a very good job at portraying a man who says very little but also does a lot. There are scenes involving how he acts in a feral way, making ape noises in a dramatic fashion, and these scenes could have been so cheesy, but Skarsgård's physical expressions and how the scenarios are written and shot make scenes like this actually feel very believable and kind of breathtaking at the same time. And David Yates does the best job he can at portraying the story as visually as possible. Whenever a gorilla expresses any emotion, it actually sent chills down my spine because I could understand without words that they either saw a character as a physical threat like pulling out a gun or a knife, or they saw them as a respectable human being who is bowing in honor. The movie uses actual outdoor locations like fields, forests, and fairies as settings, no CGI or green screens, and they all are shot in very gorgeous wide-angle shots. And the CGI on the animals, in my opinion anyways, looks very photorealistic. There's a different amount of animals like apes, lions, or wildebeests, and things such as their fur, their limbs, or their facial expressions are all very well detailed in my opinion. Now, I was looking forward to the movie's effects and for Skarsgård as Tarzan, but I was also pretty excited because since Tarzan never speaks during the trailers, the actors look very enthusiastic about their roles during interviews, and because the animals don't talk, I was under the impression that the film was going to be a visually told, very well shot, and deep examination of how Tarzan leaves Africa for civilization and what makes him decide to return. So you can imagine my disappointment when, after seeing this movie, I'm completely convinced that studios interfered during production and they turned what could have been a really good character study into a generic and pretty rushed action movie. Now, Margot Robbie does do the best she can as Jane, and to the movie's credit, she's given traits that actually try to make her an interesting damsel in distress. She knows several different languages, she understands African culture and certain animals and how they behave, but the scenarios that she's placed in really don't do anything other than make her an average damsel in distress. There's just nothing really new about it, and I'm surprised that she wanted to sign on for a role like this. And Samuel L. Jackson also tries his best as George Washington Williams, but as the comic relief and as the fish out of water character, he's written very weak. In fact, if Jackson didn't play this character, I think any other actor would have made this role really annoying. Because only Jackson's line delivery can make something as stupid as A joke about licking a gorilla's nuts. Don't worry, he doesn't actually do it, it's just a joke. But only him, as an actor, can make a line like that sound funny. And I was really excited to see Christoph Waltz as the villain, and from the trailers, I knew he was going to be a greedy, one-dimensional villain. I mean, it's a Tarzan villain, I knew that going in. But Waltz always does something really special that makes his role a lot more fun to watch. Like, he'll raise his voice in a creepy way, or he'll make this exaggerated face that makes the character like that so fun to watch. It's what made Hans Lada in Inglourious Basterds so fun to watch. It's what made Dr. King Schultz in Django so fun to watch. But in this movie, he plays his villain as strict and serious as possible, with a complete straight face. He doesn't raise the voice or make any expressions, nothing like that. He tries to play him as a genuine person, and it doesn't work for someone who's so poorly written. So he was sadly pretty boring to watch, which is horrible to say because it's Christoph Waltz. That clip I showed in the beginning, he had a ton of energy and charisma to him, which you don't see in this movie. But for me, the worst part of this movie is how bad the editing is. It is so easy to see that certain scenes have been either trimmed down or certain plot lines have been completely removed from the movie. Here's one hint as to why. You know how in the first trailer, John Hurt's voice can be heard and he's Jane's father and he's saying, "You must go back to Africa, it is calling you," and all that. You know how much he's in the movie? He's not. You don't see him, you don't hear him. He's already dead. So things like that are really obvious. And in terms of the storytelling, whenever we start to see Tarzan getting attached to Jane or his other gorilla mates, or a villain is giving a sympathetic motivation like losing a loved one, the scene cuts back to the side characters who explain the rest of the story through exposition. Which is a complete shame because as a result, we never really learn that much about Tarzan, why he decided to leave Africa, how he even learned to read or speak English or anything like that. Which is kind of important because these are the traits that made Tarzan interesting in the first place. Not to mention, whenever there's an action scene that's not Tarzan swinging around, which do look cool, but if there's an action scene that's just Tarzan fighting hand to hand, all you can see is blurry shaky cam, or like a scene cutting every time someone gets hit. I have absolutely no idea why that is, because in the behind-the-scenes footage, Skarsgård is clearly doing all the stunts, and the cameras are on tripods or cranes. So why did you make it shaky? What was there to hide? The Legend of Tarzan, as I said, could have been a really good character study that could examine how a feral being is introduced to civilization only to reject it. But the producers seem to think that we're not interested in that and think that we're attention-deficit idiots. And they made it very choppily edited, very underdeveloped, and all around just a complete disappointment. And for that reason, I'm going to give The Legend of Tarzan 2 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care.